Wednesday night, December 5th, 2018, fourth night of Hanukkah. Unfortunately, a few days ago, we lost our chief rabbi, Hacham Shaul Qasin ben Mazal, Ruach Adonai Tanehinu Be'gan Eden. This class has to do with the topic of a chief rabbi passing on the baton. And as we all heard at the end of the funeral, they read from his last will and testament, saying that he wants to pass on his position of chief rabbi, as it was passed on to him from his father. He wants to pass it on to his grandson. Obviously, people don't know how to handle such things. Most people don't know halacha, and people look at it like, what is this? Who are they? Are they trying to force something down our throats? Can you do such a thing? Does such a thing really exist in halacha? Is it appropriate? Is it inappropriate? Now, obviously, I didn't have enough time to prepare. Obviously, I have books here, and I have papers in front of us, so I did, very minor preparation, but we're not going to be able to cover the entire topic or do it enough justice, but want to at least touch upon it, understand where it's coming from, and hopefully we can, delve into some of the sources and see what's going on over here. So first thing I want to look at, it's not in front of you as if yet, well it is, it's on the bottom of the page that you have in front of you. You have Harambam, and Rabbeinu Harambam in Hilchot Melachim, in the first perek, Halacha Zayin. You see it, Halacha Zayin?
Like 5 lines down.
Okay.
It's on the line.
So I'll read even though we don't really need all of Halacha Zayin, but we'll start from the beginning. כשמעמידים המלך מושחין אותו בשמן המשחה. Okay, when you set up the king, you anoint him with the anointing oil. שנאמר ויקח שמואל את פח השמן ויסוק על ראשו וישקהו. ומאחר שמושחין המלך, הרי זה זוכה לו ולבניו לעולם. And after you anointed the king, he then merits this position for him and for his children forever. שהמלכות ירושה להם. The kingdomship now becomes an inheritance for them. שנאמר למען יאריך ימים על ממלכתו הוא ובניו בקרב ישראל. Famous pasuk in Sefer Devarim. הניח בן קטן, if he only had a young child, young son, משמרין לו המלוכה עד שיגדיל. They basically leave the position of king open for him until he grows up. Okay, because you can't put a king as, put a child to be the king. כמו שעשה יהוידע ליואש. As we saw in the Tanakh, that Yehoiada did such for Yoash. וכל הקודם בנחלה, קודם לירושת המלוכה. And whoever obviously comes first in line is the first to be the king. והבן הגדול, קודם לקטן ממנו. And an older son obviously comes before a younger son. ולא המלכות בלבד. But you would think until now we're only talking about the malchut, about kingdomship. Harambam tells us no, it's not only about kingdomship. אלא כל הסררות וכל המינויים שבישראל ירושה לבנו ולבן בנו עד עולם. All positions within Israel. So now we're talking about chief rabbis, Abedin, Hazan, Koreh Sefer Torah, Gabbai, all positions, okay, now become a position of Yerusha, that a person has that position and can hand it down to his son and his son after him, etc. והוא שיהיה הבן ממלא מקום אבותיו בחוכמה וביראה. And it is that the son has to fulfill his father's position בחוכמה וביראה, with wisdom and with fear. היה ממלא ביראה, אף על פי שאינו ממלא בחוכמה, מעמידין אותו במקום אביו ומלמדין אותו. Now, if the person only knows how to instill the proper awe in the people, and he doesn't have the proper chokhmah yet, we put him into the position and we teach him. You get him the right teachers, the right advisors to teach him to have that chokhmah, that wisdom. Bechol mi she'en bo yirat shamayim, and person who does not have yirat shamayim, fear of heaven, af al pi she'chokhmato merubah, even though he may be very wise, en memanin oto liminui min haminuyim shebe Yisrael. We cannot appoint such a person to any of these positions, not for king, not for any of the other things that we mentioned. We don't need to read the rest of Halacha Zayit. This is what applies to us over here. So Harambam is very clear that this is a position that is passed on. And Harambam doesn't just say to son, he says to his son and his son's son. Okay? Elsewhere, and you'll see later in your source sheets over there, in Hilchot Kelei HaMikdash, instead of saying Libno ul bin bino, he says Libno ul zara'o. Okay? Because some people want to say, oh, it's only maybe goes one generation, then it stops. Or it goes to the son, and then there's the son's son, and it ends there. So later, in another place in Harambam, he says ul zara'o, and it continues for generations. And we definitely have seen in certain families dynasties of rabbis going from one to the other to the other to the other. You know, it's not that it only went to one or two generations and stopped.
So do you have the Keter Shem Tov, Rabbi Gagin, his family, the whole line like?
But they didn't, I'm not talking about the position of chief. In other words, so let's say you take Rabbi Shem Tov Gagin. He wasn't chief rabbi in Israel, right? He was a rabbi in Yerushalayim. He went and was a dayan in Cairo. From Cairo, he moved to Manchester, was appointed a rabbi over there. Then he became a bit din in London. Okay, his father was a rabbi in Yerushalayim. His father was a chief rabbi. You know, so not necessarily. It doesn't always pass down. Okay, because sometimes they don't feel to pass it down, or they never left that. That statement to pass it down to my son, and they may have just passed away. Also, there are different types of positions that again, you see how much material is here. So we're not going to get to most of the stuff, but over the course of the last few days, since Hacham Shaul passed away, people have asked, well, is he Hacham Bashi? He's not Hacham Bashi. What's a chief rabbi? What is not a chief rabbi? And they want to compare it in a sense to what the chief rabbi was, or the position of Hacham Bashi, in the former Ottoman Empire. And that was not just a rabbinic position, but it was also a rabbinic political position where that chief rabbi, that person that was given that title of Hacham Bashi, was appointed by the Ottoman authorities together with the Jewish community and Jewish rabbis to have this person be that go-between and that, if you want to call him the liaison. Not much more than liaison. No, it's more like
representative.
More than representative, even more like if you want to call the congressman of the Jews to the empire. Okay. So, I would like to call him an admiral more than anything else. Okay? And he is the guy, anything that the government wanted to convey to the Jewish community, they sent a message to him and he had to convey it. Anything that the Jewish community was having a problem with and they had to take it back to the government, that Hacham Bashi had to do it. He was the man. Okay? So you cannot compare a rabbi or a chief rabbi the way we know it in the United States, which has no political clout and has no connection to the government and is not appointed by the government. You can't call him Hacham Bashi, okay? Because it's a completely different type of position. And we're not here to get into the history of, what a chief rabbi is, because it's a separate class, obviously very lengthy as well. And if we look at the different positions of who held that position of chief rabbi, how long they were in that position for, how it worked. It's interesting, but, it's a history class to go on for a couple of months. So right now we want to deal with halacha. So this is the first halacha that we looked at in Harambam. Okay? We're clear on this so far? Yes? No? Somebody? You're awake? Good. Okay. So, first thing, where does this come from? Where does this whole concept come from of taking a position that you would think people put a person in a position, and now all of a sudden it becomes his, and becomes his sons and his grandsons and his great-grandsons? What's going on over here? So this is something that we already see in the Chumash. We see it with the Kohen. Okay? The Torah talks about the Kohen Gadol. Okay? And you have a pasuk in Vayikra, והכהן המשיח תחתיו מבניו יעשה אותו חוק עולם המונאי כלי תוקטר, really. Okay? And you have a pasuk, שבעת ימים ילבש שם הכהן תחתיו מבניו אשר יבוא אלוה המועד לשרת בקודש. So it talks about the Kohen and his sons. The Kohen and his sons. Once, over and over again. So we know that it's a position that goes from Kohen to his sons. So Kohen is our first person of power, or with a lofty position in the Chumash. Okay, before we get to anything else. Okay, only later on, towards the end of Devarim, that's when we get to the king, and it's the pasuk the Harambam said. Okay, למען יאריך ימים על ממלכתו הוא ובניו בקרב ישראל. הוא ובניו, him and his sons. The pasuk is very, very clear that the position is, once you appoint the king, that position is for him and for his sons. Okay? And then the Gemara discusses it, okay, and it says, what do you mean, lo ulbanav, l'ma'an ya'arich yamim? What do you mean, they'll have a long life of his kingdomship? Yes, long life of kingdomship, because the kingdomship will go on for many, many generations, because it's an inheritance from one to the other to the other. And that's what we got into the comp. Now, does it only apply to this position of king, or to Kohen Gadol? And that's where the Midrash, okay, the Sifri, comes in and explains that it applies to all other communal positions. Okay? Whether you have the president of the community, or you have Rabbanim, Gabbaim, Mesaddirim, Hazanim, whatever it may be. And these are things. And you see, different books of She'elot Shubot deal with these type of positions. The Hazan was getting old, and he set his son up instead of him. Do we have to accept him? Do we not have to accept him? How they dealt with, different cases. And in certain cases, if they had stipulations with the Hazan that we're hiring you for a certain amount of time only, then he can't just pass it on and give it away. If we have a person who self-appointed himself as a teacher, and he starts teaching people on his own, and now he wants, after 30 years, he wants his son to take over the class, well, maybe yes, maybe no, depending on the community itself, if they can handle it, if they want that burden anymore. Maybe the guy was self-sufficient, and now maybe this son is coming in and says, well, you know what, I don't have a job, and so I need the community to start paying me. Different consideration. So it's not always clear-cut. Okay? So that's the first thing that we're dealing with over here. Good so far? Good. So Harambam, as we said, in Hilchot Kelei HaMikdash, basically deals with the same halacha that we have over here. We're good.
Do we have any inkling as to
what?
Communities accepting of one of the appointees? Or they don't have to accept it, they just have the person who's appointing it?
Not understanding the question.
Or the chief rabbi?
It's existed.
So it's only their word, or the community people have to accept it?
Community people have to accept it because it's a given. We'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. Certain communities had such you want to call it a rule in place, and certain communities did not. And we'll get to that. It's down here. Bihayim Palachi touches upon it, Batiki Nisiot deals with it as well. We'll get to it, hopefully. Yeah, I don't know when, but we'll get to it. Now, let's see. I don't have the sheets that you have in front of you. Let me see this. I want to see what you have over here.
What is he doing? Eat it. We're all fine. Hey.
All right. Anyway, I thought I made a copy of something from Shulchan Aruch over here. Not what I was looking for. 1 minute. All right. On your page 3, on the bottom of the page that you have, your second page, it's titled 3 on top. Okay, and towards the bottom of the page. Mark, you want to read it for us? What he has over there, Shulchan Aruch?
Bottom of the second page?
Bottom of the second page, yes.
Which one? From the first...
Start from the top of it.
Okay. Mishu hofzak l'rav be'ir, afilu hafik be'atmo be'ezu shrava, en horido migulato. אף על פי שבא לשם אחר, גדול ממנו.
לשם אחר.
לשם אחר, גדול ממנו.
Right, so you have somebody who's a rabbi in a certain place, okay, and now somebody else comes who's even greater. You don't remove the guy who's already rabbi over there, even though the second guy that, just came to the city is greater than him. Correct? That's what we got so far, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
So אפילו בנו ובן בנו, לעולם קודמים לאחרים כל זמן שממלאים מקום אבותיהם ביראה והם חכמים כיסא.
Okay, so now if you have Rabbi A is in a city, and he's the rabbi over there. Rabbi B shows up, and he's a greater rabbi. Sorry, Rabbi B, you don't get the position. You don't get to usurp Rabbi A. Rabbi A is there. Not only is Rabbi A there, but his son, his grandson, they get that position. They get Rabbi A's spot when Rabbi A is ready to step down for whatever reason. All right, as long as they have Yirat Shamayim and they have some Chokhmah. Doesn't have to be the same level of Chokhmah, but it has to be the very least the same level of Yirah. Okay? Good. And what else do you have over there?
במקום שיש מנהג לקבל רב על זמן קצוב.
So now if you have the minhag in a place to only have a rabbi for a allotted period of time.
A term.
Term period, yes.
או שמנהג לבחור במי שירצו הרשות בידם.
Or if they have the custom to vote and elect somebody to the position, then that's fine. That's the custom in that place. And they have, obviously, the allowance of halakha to do so. Okay? But otherwise, it becomes a position that is handed down. So this is something that people are also now talking about. I don't know if people have heard or not heard. People are saying, well, maybe Rabbi Kassin originally, talking about Hacham Yaakov, was originally brought to the community to just be a rabbi. He wasn't hired to be chief rabbi. Or they just hired him for a short amount of time, and he ended up staying, for 50 years, and he assumed the position. With all due respect, I don't think anybody ever thought ill of Hacham Yaakov Kassin. He really was a determining factor in the community. He did everything in his power, as far as I know, to try to keep the community united, and he was beloved by, the learned sector of the community, the non-learned sector, the old, the young. So I don't like that people are speaking ill of him. I think it's a wrong thing, in my opinion. Obviously, if there's documentation to show us otherwise, we'll have to deal with that. Anyway, so this is where we are. He handed the position to his son Hacham Shaul, and Hacham Shaul wants to now hand it to his grandson. So everything seems so far like we're within the framework of halakha. We have no problem. Correct? Anything else there in Shulchan Aruch that we missed?
It's good to finish it off.
Finish it, please.
אבל כל שקיבלו הקהל עליהם. Okay, I think it's continuing from the previous line.
Mm-hmm.
This is the case where Kahal accepted it.
Right.
בכל שכן אם עשו ברצון
Sirara.
סררה, אין לשום גדול
שום גדול.
בעולם
להסתרר.
עליו לא בידו.
Okay.
Right, so
Okay, so as long as the Kahal accepted him upon themselves as the rabbi in that position, okay, then no other Gadol in the world can come and change that. Correct? Okay, so we accepted Cham Yaakov Kasin Alav Shalom, and so it continues. That's what the halacha looks like to me. It's pretty clear. And these are probably the same sources that Acham Shaul Alav Shalom was looking at when he made his decision, and that's
What year was that written, this decision?
they said that it was written in 2001. Okay? Acham Yaakov passed away, we said in what year? 85. 94. 94. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
December 95. That's why I put that night. Okay? So, 7 years later, he wrote this. And
how they had a chief rabbi or just Abedin?
they had chief rabbis, and they had Abedin.
Political.
It was political, and it was non-political, and it was handed over. Let's take, for example, the Lanyado family. It was handed down, for at least 4 or 5 generations. Okay? And then something happened. We're going to look at a few different books, different hachamim, see what they mention, what they don't mention. There's a lot to discuss, and we could deal with sources forever. I really want to get into a unbelievable derasha, which really helped me to put things together. But I want to use this in the next piece as introductions first. So, we're in the book called Batei Kenesiyot. Batei Kenesiyot by Abraham ibn Azra. Not the Abraham ibn Azra that you know of as a Mefarish on the Torah, but this is Abraham ibn Azra from Saloniki. And this book was published in 1801. Katab Haram. Haram being Harab Moshe. In other words, the Rambam. Okay? You here with me? Yeah, good. Alright. כתב הר"ם הז"ל פרק ראשון מלכות מלכים וזה לשונו ולא המלכות בלבד אלא כל השררות וכל המינויים שבישראל ירושה לבנו בן בנו עד עולם והנה שיהיה הבן מלא מקום אבותיו בחוכמם יראה יהיה מלא מיראה ואף על פי שאינו מלא בחוכמם עמידים אותו במקום אביו מעמידים אותו על כלשונו. Exactly what we read from Harambam. כן כעשה פרק ד' מהלכות כלי המקדש, and that's what he writes in כלי המקדש like I said before. ועל זה כתב רבנו בית יוסף בכסף משנה וזה לשונו לא המלכות בלבד וכולי בספרי שנינו הוא ובניו שאם מת הוא בנו עומד תחתיו ואין לי אלא זה בלבד מנין לכל פרנסי ישראל שביניהם עומדים תחתיהם תלמוד לומר בקרב ישראל כל שהוא בקרב ישראל בנו עומד תחתיו ובתורת כהנים תניא ובנים לא היו להם אם היו להם בנים הם היו קודם אף על גב שלא היו שיקולים כלעזר ואיתמר בסקתה והוא שיהיה נוהג כמנהג אבותיו עד כאן לשונו. So we bring us the Beit Yosef. The Beit Yosef is telling us that we're talking about any sort of positions of serara, any positions of power, of honor, of whatever the case may be, that we, and as long as something Bekereb Yisrael, meaning having to do with Am Yisrael, okay, so it would be not only a position of the rabbinate, it would be of kingdomship, but a position of rabbinate as well. It would be him and his descendants after him. Okay, and even if they may not be on the same level as him, like we're talking about with Kohen Gadol, okay, Aharon HaKohen, his children were not like him, and his children after them they were not like him, but they're still on the same level. As long as they have that yir'ah, we can still teach them Chokhmah. Good. Ve'harab, Ba'al HaMakpah, Shono, Beturi Urede'ah, Sof Siman Ramah. Okay, so now he's bringing us from Shulchan Aruch, but he's bringing us, he's calling us not Shulchan Aruch himself, not Maran, but Muram. Okay, Ba'al HaMakpah. كتب بشم هرب شنو فافلوا بينه وبين بنو العالم كود من الحريم كل زمان شملي ما كون أبوتهم فهم هخاميم كيسات عد كان ובשם ספר הקוד בו כתב לשונו, במקום שיש מנהג לקבל רב לזמן קצוב, או לבחור במי שיעשו הרשו בידם עד כן לשונו. So the same thing that we read before in Shulchan Aruch that Marky read to us, that if they have a different custom in that place where they appoint somebody for a lot of period of time, for a term limit, as Victor said, or if they, or they do voting, elections, so that's a different story, and they can continue to do what they do in their place. So basically what we see, the son precedes anybody and everybody else. In our case, in our case, בין רבנו הוא צריך שירש מהמקום רבנו אביו ולשונו אפילו שיהיו בעיד גדולים ממנו ואז שבעיד אינו ממלא מקום רבנו בחוכמה נער ישראל פשיטא שברוב הימים מעשה חיים צדקה וכבוד כי יגעתי ולא מסרתי לא תאמין ומה מאוד מדקם וצדקו דברים הרב מזל שכתב מעמידים אותו במקומו האבים מלמדים אותו בחושכים ונדון שלפנינו שאינו צריך ללמוד אחרי אלא חמדה לימוד יחד עם החברים ולעשות בתורה לקיים מה שנאמר בכתבו יום ולילה ואם זה לא ימוס בתורה מפי ומפי זרעו עד עולם. Okay, so we're dealing with a case over here talking about, obviously we didn't read the beginning of this siman from B'tekin Nesiot, siman Nun Gimel. We're dealing with a rabbi who had a son. The son was younger and he wasn't up to the position yet, but he was learning, he was continuing to learn. So obviously they're not worried about him. We keep the position open. Even though we have greater hachamim in the city, we keep the position open for this son so he could come in and take over once he's of age and of wisdom, they're saying.
I feel like there's an underlying reason that's going on here. Like they say, even if like Shulchan Aruch quoted it also, I mean, he brought it here. If a greater hacham comes from another place, you can't appoint him. It's the dynasty,
right?
Quote
It's
disrespectful. I think that maybe the reason is disrespectful to the kahal.
I don't think they're looking at disrespectful. They're just looking at the pasuk.
No, I'm just saying
straight and simple.
The manya. I mean, it could be, but like
they're looking at the pasuk. They're looking at the kohen when the kohen talks about the kohen and his son. Okay, they're looking at the pasuk for the melech. I don't think it has anything to do with respect. It's not an issue of respect over here. It's an issue of there is a dynasty. If we're dealing with the city of Halab, okay, we know that was Mishpahat Dayan. Okay, or as some people like to say, the synagogue or midrash over there was called Beit Nasi. Okay, it was really named after the Dayan family. Okay, there are conflicting views if that's true or not true. In any case, they were the Nisi'im. They were the Nisi'im. They were the princes of the community. Okay? They were able to trace their line, their lineage, all the way back to David HaMelech. Okay? And so therefore, they had this certain position. And there were things that were done, since we're talking about the Dayan family in Halab, that they, even if there was a chief rabbi, it made no difference. Since a member of the Dayan family who was a rabbi, he would get those things. There were certain tzedakot that were collected, he would automatically get a percentage of that. Shofar had to be blown on Rosh Hashanah, he would get to blow it. There was an open position of Mohel, he would do it. Kal Nidre, he would get it. Everything was given to the Dayan family. They were the dynasty going back to David HaMelech, and you cannot break it, you cannot lose it. Okay? So there are positions of power.
No, but
What happened? Is Halab around? There is no city.
They didn't move around here. Did it go to the end?
It went until they left. Okay? The last one that had that position was who? Hacham Ishaq Dayan, the good friend and teacher of Hacham Matlub. Okay? He had that position. He passed away circa 1958. Okay?
No, so all I meant was it's an integral fabric. That position, that family is integral fabric to the society. You can't just break it. That's all I mean.
Of course you cannot break it. You cannot break it. Of course, same thing. It's the same thing. Okay, you take him.
It's like coming to say, breaking him in half.
No, it's like, come on here. David Batash, you're Levi. Your father was a Levi. Well, we don't like you in the Levis anymore. You're out. It doesn't work like that. Once you're a Levi, you're a Levi forever.
David's case.
Okay.
But don't you think Levi is something different? It's like prescripted in the Torah, and
But they're saying this is prescripted in the Torah too.
But not clearly.
We have Torah shebichtab, we have Torah sheba'al peh. We've discussed this numerous times, and we could discuss it ad nauseum, because Torah sheba'al peh is something that was transmitted, something that was taught. They can't. Imagine now, we came, Borei Olam is giving Torah to Am Yisrael, and every word that needs to be known from that moment till the end of time had to be written down. How big would the Torah be?
Of course, I get it.
Who's carrying it? We need a nation of Jews that are bodybuilders just to lift the Sefer Torah. And then who's going to write it? What sofer is going to be able to write the whole thing? It doesn't end. And then what are we studying? What kind of Hiddushim are we coming up with today? Since everything was written. So, no, I don't buy it. This Torah Sheba'al Peh is an integral part of who we are. Once we get rid of Torah Sheba'al Peh and we trash it because it's not written, no, it's not good.
Wait, I don't think he was rejecting.
I understand
the Torah about
he wasn't rejecting it. He wasn't rejecting.
You ready to go to inside? Okay, go ahead, Joe. Go for it. Go.
He wasn't rejecting, but I want to show to people who may reject why they shouldn't be rejecting.
But people often say that that's
quit while you're behind. Yeah,
Torah
Right. What about
people do draw a distinction to show you that this is straight from the Torah, like meat and milk.
And what? And where do you get from it? Does it change anything? Does it change anything?
But there are certain halachot that have more import and need to be followed more strictly when they're straight from the Torah.
No, that's when you're talking about halakha, that they say halakha is the rabbanan or halakha de oraita.
Okay.
It's different. Very, very different.
I see what you're saying. True. Okay.
It's not the same thing whatsoever over here. Notice how the camera never hits him.
Wait, so I might have missed this before, but so we're talking about a source in the Torah Ba'al Peh that supports this?
Well, if Harambam is bringing it to us, okay,
Right, so
and
that's what I
Harambam
missed.
is based upon
So that's what I was
about
here.
all of this is, let's put it this way, we'll call Harambam the compendium of Torah Sheba'al Peh, as far as halakha is concerned. Okay? Now we have it in Harambam, and we have it in Shulchan Aruch, we have it in the Midrash, we have it in the Sifri. Okay? Now we have all the Hachamim, okay, all the Aharonim that we're going to try to look at, some of them at least, and they all seem to be going on the same line. We don't find any of them. Now I'm not even touching the Ashkenazi Aharonim who deal with it as well, and they all also seem to be, towing the same line. We don't find sources that go against this. בין בענייני ממונות ובין להורות באיסור והיתר. היא הכל הוא לפניו כניתנו בסיני. See, he's even talking about over here הלכה למשה מסיני, and the Torah he's referring to Torah שבעל פה as well. Okay? So we're on the right track. ועיין בהרב המביט. Okay, בהרב המביט. This is going back to the good old days of Safed. בחלק ב' דף קפ"ו שכתב בסוף התשובה ובלשונו כי המנוי של חכם אחד בקהל אחד כל איזה חכם שבדור הזה יכול להיות ללמוד פסק בכל יום ואם משרד הדיינו אם יש מי שמתרעב עליו יכולים פטירת אביו לשתף שנים אחרים עמו שיהיו בדין של שלושה לאיזה מן הקהל שלא יתרסל לעמוד לפניו ובדור לדין הכן שלו ובטחתי בעוונותינו של האיש השלם שאפילו שכל העולם יתרסו לעמוד לפניו לדין שלא יעשה ולא ידון שום דין ומשפט אלא בעשת כל בני ישיבתו כי היחיד למטה לירשו. So it's saying even the deen that the Hakam put down and then some other Hakam came and wants to now usurp that deen of the previous Hakam of the city, he can't even do that unless all the Hakamim get together and they agree on it together. וכיוון דעתי דן תשובה זו יכתוב מה שכתב הרב ז"ל למעלה בסוף פעם שני שאפילו שהקהל לא היו ממנים אותו עליהם ולא היו כותבים עליו הסכמה כמוטבע למעלה היו חייבים לקבלו מסד הדין שהוא יורש של סררת אביו בלי הסכמתם כמו שהוא הדין כמו שכתב מפרשים על כן שלו הרי שחייב את כל הקהל לקבלו מסד הדין וכן קדם משכתב מנחם אבו דרבי בסימן ק"ו בתוך התשובה ולשונו חדש הדין Ken, Sheben HaHacham Kodem L'Kol Adam. Right? We said the son of the Hacham has precedence over any other person. Afapi Sheesh Ahayer Tov Minu. Even if there's somebody else better than him, Kosher Kemin Onidan. Sheben HaHacham Nabon VeHacham Beto Be'anei Elohim VeAdam. And all the more so when you have a case where people actually like the son and you see that the son is a Hacham. VeHarun VeRaui. Okay, and everybody really thinks that he's the right guy, but there are other people that want to bring somebody else instead. On the top of the next page.
There, we got it.
بحد سمان باب ليش هو إم هي يتهور رخ بشني كيف شبكة هذا نسكت حزيق بوا خمسة كانوا بها خم حسيد عريب أفيلو من توم حاش. The people just don't want to have a young person there, so they're troubled by that idea. هي مسبيك تعم حسكات أبوتها بالسرارة بمكومه هو أفيلو شلو هي محزاق كل كامه حكمة كده لما توقع شيكين شحزاق ده خام شلهم بخليه على كان شلو. But as long as you have that family dynasty, that realm that you know that he's following in the footsteps of his fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers, this is the position that they always held, and they, and they treated it in the right way, and they always did the right thing for the community, even though he may still be young, he's going to grow into the position, and you have to give him that chance. There is incumbent upon the community to take this Hacham, this son, and put him in that position of power. They must do it in that position that was handed down to him by his forefathers. And nobody else has that opportunity to take that place. And anybody who dares open his mouth is going against the halakha. And if you want to go check out the sources that I'm mentioning, because you don't have them, go find them and you'll see that everything I'm telling you is correct. I like this guy. And even in our city that we have this custom, כשנתבקש בישיבה של מעלה, רבנו הקדוש, מונה הרב עזריה, בתוך יתר אבלי מיו, בנו בקומו, בשתי קהילות מהשלושה שהיו לו, אף על פי שכבוד הרב הגדול מוריה, היה פה עירה מהבית קהילות אחרות. ואם כן, אפילו דברי הרב, כל בושי בישראל, it seems to be the three communities within that community. In other words, each synagogue was considered its own separate community in a sense. Okay, so this rabbi was already ruling over at the very least two out of those three, and it's saying now, since that's the majority, now we have to accept his son as being the rabbi of all three. That's what the Hacham is telling us over here. Yeah, فيلو دبر هرب كوبو شبيه هرب بعضهم أبها بنودين ده يوشي حيوين نوت بين منكم أبيب مع حشكا خوها منهاج. And we have to appoint the son in the place of his father, and that is the minhag. And it's not only the minhag over here, okay, that we're doing this custom. Listen carefully. Okay, in all places. Turkey. And all the cities of Turkey. In other words, the entire Ottoman Empire, they're telling over here. And if you want to know the emet, come and we'll show you. They do this in Egypt. And all surrounding places. And Damascus. Aram Soba and Aleppo and Halab. And all these other regions of Turkey. This is the custom in all these great cities, and this is the way that things are supposed to be done. So the Hacham is very, very firm about this. And then he keeps going on with more and more sources. He brings in the Rashba and the Rajdam and the Tirim Echle. And he keeps going on and on and on to prove to you this is the way things are done. Yes, Victor, shoot.
Could you give us a little context of the time period he's living in?
This book was published 1801. So we're dealing with the 1700s.
Do you know what was going on that made him sound so irate about this topic? It could just be the way you were reading it.
It's the way I'm reading it. He's not irate about it at all. He's being firm about it because obviously there were people now that think that they...
But was there something going on back then? It sounds like he's responding, saying, and even if it's this, make sure you're not.
No, it's not something like that at all, because you'll see the same tone is basically taken by the other Hachamim as well. People think, okay, the guy, he passed on, or he's ready to move, or you know what? Times have changed. We're ready for a different kind of rabbi. You know how people talk nowadays. We had enough of this guy. We know the way he leans and his rulings and his mindset. We want somebody more open-minded. We want somebody with new ideas. It doesn't work that way. The whole point is that we know he's going to follow in the steps of his forefathers. In other words, we know he is not only firm, but he is somebody we could rely upon. Somebody who's going to uphold the Torah and what the Torah stands for. Somebody who's going to keep the community intact. Somebody who's going to direct us the proper way. Somebody who's going to teach us and guide us. Okay?
But he also understands the community. It's very important.
Of course.
That's like a huge aspect.
Well,
That's why you
that's the
can't
most
just bring
important
somebody
aspect.
from outside.
Okay, but let's say you don't bring someone from outside. Let's say you have somebody from the inside. Somebody born into the community itself, already for, not for one generation, but 2, 3, 4 generations. But he wasn't involved in the rabbinic. Now you want to say, okay, his father was one of the rabbis, but he's not the rabbi. He wasn't at the helm. He didn't know all the details of what was going on. Right. Okay? He didn't get to see firsthand and hear at the family dinner table how we dealt with sticky situations. We all sit back, the rabbis did this, I wouldn't have done it that way. But we don't know everything that's going on.
Right.
Sometimes there are details going on, and as we heard, we've all heard bits and pieces of the speeches. Maybe some of you heard all the speeches, but you heard, the rabbi was soft-spoken, but he was firm when he had to be firm, right? He knew what was going on. He knew when he had to take a stand, when he had to consult with younger rabbis and bring them into the loop as to what's going on, So only anybody who's seasoned and grew up that way for many, many years and saw what his father did and his grandfather did, got an idea of what's going on. That's a very important factor over here. And you can't say that somebody else, he's a dynamic speaker and the people love him and he knows how to gas around with the people and make them joke at, laugh at his jokes that he makes in the middle of a speech, and he could quote somebody else's halachot. That's a good guy for us. Oh, that's not a good guy for you. Okay? Same way somebody's going to come and open up, okay, I'm going to bring this book of halachot that pertains to the current situation in Jerusalem today, okay, for the way politics have evolved in Jerusalem, for what we want to call the Sephardic community in Jerusalem today, and say we're going to take that book intact, or the volumes of books that it may be nowadays, and we're going to apply it as is to Brooklyn, New York. Can you do that? You can't do that. It's a different world. It's a different setting. So now you're going to come and say, well, what about the position of Rishon LeZion? People from outside of the region of Rishon LeZion, or outside of Yerushalayim, outside of Eretz Israel, always deferred to the Rishon LeZion. Yes, they deferred to the Rishon LeZion to get his advice, to ask a difficult question if the Hachamim of the city were having a hard time with it, or they knew it was something that could cause turmoil within their city. So they themselves would not have the layman off the street send questions to the Rishon LeZion, but the chief rabbi of the city or of the community, he would be the person to send a letter to the chief rabbi, being the Rishon LeZion. And then they would consult with one another. And not that, okay, Rabbi, I have a question. What beracha do I say on ABC? And send me an answer back. No, I have a question. This is what's going on in my city. We have a synagogue over here. The wall, is a wall that's being shared by 2 synagogues, and now the community, has grown differently, and we really need to utilize the space to make it one big synagogue. We can't afford to build another one. We know it's haram to destroy, a synagogue. This is what I've just located in Halachot, and write a whole teshubah for himself. Let's say 10 pages, and send that now to the Rishon LeZion. What do you think of what I'm saying? What do you think of my decision? What do you think of what, my approach to it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it correct? Is it incorrect? And then the Rishon LeZion will write back and, and confirm or decline those different points. And that's the way things work with Rishon LeZion. Now, Rishon LeZion, let him decide, and we don't have to think it for ourselves anymore. Didn't work like that. So the Hakam, the chief rabbi, has to know everything. He has to be well-grounded. Okay? Good? Good. Just want to glance at, it's on your sheets. You don't need sheets right now. Masah Hayim, book by Bihayim Palachi, and he's going to be quoting and commenting upon what we just read from Batik Nisiyot. Okay? He's saying, he's talking about the Rabbanut, the rabbinate. Minhag Irenu Izmir. Okay? Rabbi Palachi was the rabbi in the city of Izmir, Turkey. להיות הבן ממלא מקום אביו בתורת ירושה לעניין מינוי רבנות. Okay, the son inherits the position of rabbi from his father. ולא בעיר זו בלבד נעשה מנהג זה, כי בכל מחנות וערי טורקיה נהגו כך. And he says the same thing, and it's not only here, but it's all over the place. And same thing, he quotes the same thing. Misraim, Damascus, Aram Soba, Tukat, Amsiya, Angora, Rusa, Kushta, Gipoli. He goes through it all. And then he quotes Batikin Siyot, and he goes, Vehine بعيتا لو يش من هاك بعير هزود يوه لبن من مكان بيبان ينجز بنود كي من هاك هو كي قالوا بالتراب شنيم هو قودم. He goes, yeah, that used to be the minhag, what I just quoted you above, but nowadays that's no longer the minhag. So they changed the minhag in Izmir. Now, obviously, this has no bearing upon Brooklyn because there is no minhag Brooklyn. Okay, but just to keep in perspective, 1 second. The custom now is whoever is greater in Torah and in years. In other words, you have to be the oldest man standing and the smartest to have the position of chief. Hagam, and even though each guy has a son or two that are worthy to be rabbis, regardless of that, we don't appoint them. We appoint the man who is eldest and wisest. And we do not have any minhag or halacha of inheritance of rabbinical position in our city of Izmir. And he goes on to talk about it some more. So they once had a minhag, and it no longer existed by the time of Rabbi Hayim Palachi. Okay?
What year was that around?
We're talking about approximately 1850. Okay?
And the minhag
a little bit earlier.
predated the Shulchan Aruch. And the minhag predated what Shulchan Aruch said.
Who said that?
No, I'm asking.
Because it on
No.
No, because Shulchan Aruch said it goes by inheritance.
Shulchan Aruch goes by inheritance, and so what?
He
but
just quoted
but
all the
Shulchan
other places
Aruch who
that did
said if the cities has what do you call it, a custom to give a term limit, or they have a custom to vote for somebody, different story. So they obviously decided they had probably a rabbinical council meeting as well as a lay leader council meeting, and they said, you know what, this is not working for us in Izmir to just have one guy follow the next, follow the next, follow the next. We want the eldest and smartest each time. Okay? Good.
Next book.
Yafir Lalib, one of the sons of Bihayim Palachi. Okay, Rahim Nassim Ishaq Palachi. So Yafir Lalib is not coming to really add anything, but just to clarify and solidify what we said. He's looking at Shulchan Aruch, at Yoreh De'ah, Siman Rish, Mim He, Sa'if Kafbet, and he's solidifying the exact same thing. We're talking about Afilu Beno, Ben Beno, Kod Min Ahirim, Kod Zaman, Shem Malaim, etc. And he's telling you want to know what this halacha means? Go look at Batikin Siyot, go look at Masah Hayim, go look at Ruach Hayim, go see what all the, what was written about this topic before, and we know what's going on, and that's where we stand with that. We don't need to get into it more. I want to go to
the full
Yisaish.
book though.
I didn't
The
skip.
second
I
one,
didn't get
the
to.
middle one.
That's what I was reading from.
Yeah?
What did I skip?
This one, you read that one?
This?
Yeah.
The Bar Moshe deals with a case of a Hazan who's ready to step down. If we get to him, we'll get to him.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't pertain directly. So Yisaish, which is what you have the next 3 pages, I believe.
You're gonna abridge it for us, right?
What?
You're gonna abridge it for us.
Not
right?
important what I'm going to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, 3 pages. What do you have here? This is very, very important. Right here. We're starting over here. Derush Bet Minui Rab. Okay, this is what really directed me towards things.
I can't. I'll follow you.
Bi Ya'aqub Shaul El Yashar. He was one of our great Hachamim, one of the Rishon LeZion. And when he was appointed Rishon LeZion, you have in front of you his speech. If you want to call it his acceptance speech, at the same time deriding the people who put him in power. It's very, very interesting how he approaches the whole thing. The speech was written 125 years ago. Okay? You don't like that?
Nice.
It's nice.
Where's he from?
Yerushalayim. Family was in Yerushalayim for a few hundred years. Okay? And his son became chief rabbi after him. Okay?
But his father was not.
His father was not, but he was one of the main rabbis also. He was appointed. The position of Rishon LeZion was generally appointed. Rarely did it go from father to son. Okay? But the position of Rishon LeZion, they looked for the person who would best fit the bill. His problem was he did not see a united community. He did not see the people working with one another. He did not see the Hachamim working with one another. And we're not going to go through the whole thing, but what I loved about it is that I really stumbled upon it by accident, and the whole thing has to do with Parashat Mikes, this week's parasha,
Nice.
and with the appointment of chief rabbi, and how the people need to, work together, and how the Hachamim have to work together. So it's a very, very powerful speech. We don't have time to really dissect it well. I just want to read a little bit of it, and then we'll go to the end of it, and then I would recommend, if you have time, to try to break your teeth on it, do it, because it's wonderful.
You have time on the way to work. You give time?
I didn't say I didn't do it.
Or maybe we'll do it. We'll dissect it next time.
We'll
have
see.
more time.
We'll
Okay.
vote on it. Don't worry.
We need to still work on Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. It's very important.
No
yes.
voting. It's,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
No voting. It's just appointed.
Excuse me, hello. Did you hear what we said?
Yeah.
We need to work on Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Oh yeah, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shema.
Yeah.
My idea.
Yeah, your idea. Yeah.
Yeah, your idea from 20 years ago. I got it.
Okay, well
Before
that's
you were here.
Before we start reading this, I just want to mention that Cham Uziel, okay, Cham Ben Sion Meir Hai Uziel, another one of our great Rishon Sion. He has a teshuvah on our topic as well, inheritance in the rabbinate. It's a teshuvah that he wrote in 1936, the end of 1936. Very interesting teshuvah as well, and he talks about not only the inheritance, but he goes through some of the history of how positions of power were determined and handed down. So this is an interesting teshuvah to look at some point in the future as well, because he also has a different way of approaching things, as we know. Okay?
What's the
Start.
number, is it?
This is in Halachic Bet, Siman Mim Bet. You got that, Isaac? Mim. Mim Bet. Not Mem.
Obviously.
Obviously. I know it's obvious. I know it's obvious, but unfortunately not everybody else does. So let's see what Chaim Yaakov Shaul El Yashar. And if you look at the top of the page, it says Dibre Ish. Okay? So he has a book called Yisa Ish, which is Sheilot Shuvot. And at the end of the Sheilot Shuvot, he printed some of his sermons under the title Dibre Ish. Ish, El Yashar, Yaakov Shaul, right? Good. דרוש ג' למינוי רב. דרוש שדרשתי בקהל רב בבית כנסת הגדול ביום ט"ו שבת התרנ"ג שמינו אותי השפל לשרת בקודש לרעות ביעקב ושמו המשרה על שכמי לרב ראשון לציון. יהי רצון שיהיה בסימן טוב לכל ישראל, אמן כן יהי רצון. They put me into this position of ראשון לציון. And here's the topic. And this is the way the Hachamim generally worked. They stated their topic, okay, and then they worked the topic. Because I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, including the people that may be listening someplace else, have never really attended a real derush by a Hacham. Okay? Not a story, but a real derush where you have a topic. In other words, if you go back and you listen to when Hacham Murad Maslaton passed away, okay, and Hacham Aharon Shweka gave a eulogy, he opened up with a topic. Topic is generally a pasuk or a bunch of pasukim, and then you work the speech from there. And it's very, very interesting how you see the development and the approach and how they tie things in a very, very novel fashion. And they shoot out messages at you, subliminal messages that all tie in at the end. Very interesting. And our great Sephardic Hachamim, they were masters at this. Question. Shoot. והקל מעליך ונעשו איתך. אם את הדבר הזה תעשה בסבבך אלוהים ויאכלת עמו וגם כל העם הזה על מקומו יבוא בשלום. אם את הדבר הזה תעשה בסבבך אלוהים ויאכלת עמו וגם כל העם הזה על מקומו יבוא בשלום. איתה במתנייתה סוף מסכת עוקסין. Now, how often do you hear a rabbi quoting Masechet Oxin? You don't. You probably never even heard of the Masechet. شلون بالحلف تعالوا ما ساقش برخوك كذي محزق بالأخذ يسري إلا هالشالوم شنيمار أدوني عوز عمويتين أدوني يبارك عمو بالشالوم. And then he starts. يوديع هنستروت وبوحين هاللبابوت. As you notice, the first letter of each of these four words, because he's starting the paragraph, he's starting the speech. That's where the speech really starting is Shem Hashem.
Wow.
Okay? Something the Hachamim did. They even did it in their introductions to books.
Harambam.
What about Harambam?
Yesodei HaTorah.
Okay. He's not the only one. I'm saying, no, not
I'm
knocking.
just begging.
I'm not knocking. I'm saying that, yes. No, it's not a knock. I'm just saying, but we see it all over the place. يوديع هنستروت وبوحين لبابوت. Don't worry. If I wanted to attack you, I would. Don't worry.
Oh, I know.
هو يعيد علي عد كم جدال سعاري من كم أنفه. He opens up his speech, his acceptance speech to be the Shol Sion, and he's telling you how sad he is for so many reasons. حدا دكبام التي أموراك يودي أني بعصمي ماخ عركي. He goes, I know my stature, and I'm zero. بيت كهين بعفون عن بني إسرائيل شفيدين من بزين بعينيك كلام. And the Jewish nation is downtrodden. They're looked down upon. They're made fun of. We're treated like garbage. We're not the Am Yisrael. Gimel. برؤتي مصاب كولالينو يارد التميون بيدا يسير عد نيود ويشار إلو هين كلان ياحد بأجوداء أحد بأبا بحفاش وبرعوت إبشار هياري ببصلاة كلان وبشابة برخام يحين بجوداء بعود كما تعاوين شيء إبشار لبورتان عتا. He goes, and I see that we don't have, among ourselves, we have no stature. We're basically disheveled. We're a mess among ourselves, and we just keep going down and down. And maybe, possibly, if we were to find a way to unite and have true love and brotherhood and peace among one another, then maybe we would be able to pick ourselves up, and then maybe our co-religionists, the Jews that are living in the Gola, would say, that's a model Jewish community. Yeah, maybe we want to help them out. Maybe we want to send them a donation. Maybe we want to support the Yishuv B'nai Israel. But in other words, they weren't even getting support. It was the poor, decrepit community, is what he's describing to us.
What year?
Yes, he's telling you, Hat Tarnag. We're talking about 1893.
Okay.
I'm telling you, 1893. Okay? ועוד כמה טעמים שאי אפשר לפורטן אותה. Because there's other reasons that I'm very, very, upset. But I can't get into them, he tells you. ואולם אחרי ראותי כי כל הרבנים וכל הגאונים מכל הכולליות הסכימו כולם יחד לעשות את שאינו זוכה כזוכה. Because only after I saw that all the rabbis of all the different kolelim got together and they wanted to make me, that meritorious individual who doesn't deserve anything at all. אמרתי, הוודאי כל המון ככל שדי. He goes, I'm telling myself, maybe that's what the people want. And if the people want it, then I'll do it. ובאמת אמרו רבותינו זכרם ברכה, אפילו ריש גרגותם שמאיה מוקמלה, וכתאיתם מסכת ברכות, אמר רבי יוחנן, שלא שם הכריז הקדוש ברוך הוא בעצמו. There are three things Borei Olam decrees himself. ra'ab, v'soba, u'parnas tov. So three things Borei Olam declares: famine, sustenance, and good leadership. Okay? Shnei Emar, Re'eh karati b'shem b'sal'el ben uli b'rahman v'tei. Okay. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, Hagun alecha b'sal'el. Okay? Borei Olam tells Moshe Rabbeinu, B'sal'el is the guy. He's the right guy for you. Amar le'fanecha hagun. Amar le'afal pi ken emole Yisrael im lefanavi barach le'fanecha v'chulei ayan sham. We'll leave that on for a second. Asher lefi nir'eh שני מאמרים הללו נראים כסותרים אם הקדוש ברוך הוא מכריז בעצמו על הפרנס טוב, למה צריך למנוח בסיפור? So if Borei Olam is the one who's decreeing who the parnas is, and the parnas is somebody good, the leader, okay, why do we need to go to the congregation, to the people, for them to agree and for them to basically appoint him, that person, as head over them? And what good, what benefit, what comes out of this person being named leader by the people? Good, okay. So Rabbi Yohanan said that Borei Olam announces, okay, himself, that there's going to be Parnas Tov. How do we know? We, the people, simpletons, how do we know that this is a Parnas Tov? How do we know he came from Borei Olam and he's the guy? Lezeh ba letares, lezehu hamebhan. And this comes to teach us, this is the test. כשנמלכים בסיבור וכולם מסכימים במינוייו, מזה תבינו שכבר הכריז עליו הקדוש ברוך הוא. Because when the people anoint that person, when the people vote for that person and elect that person and decree he's the guy that we want, that's only happening because Borei Olam wants it that way. Borei Olam is directing the events to occur the way he wants it to occur. Because Hashem's not coming down and saying, appoint this guy. He's coming to Barry Knock and calling you up one day like you get with these telemarketers or these automated, calls. Make sure you vote tomorrow for B'Sal'el. It's not happening, right? So it's coming out of your mindset, but obviously, if everybody does it, that means this is the person that Borei Olam thinks is the right leader for the time. Right? We have a statement in the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avot, that as long as the people like the person, Borei Olam likes the person as well. So, it's back and forth. Now he keeps going. He explains why three things. When you have a issue, it's like a man marrying a woman, the man has to go out and he has to sustain his wife and his family. Okay, so now you have to, if you don't have a good parnas, if you don't have a good leader, then we're running into a situation where the economic situation is going to be poor, and the guy's not going to be able to make a living. He's not going to be able to bring that money home. The food is not going to be available. So it all ties into each something. And then he comes into now our parasha. Okay, there was a vikuah, there was an argument, Par'ah with Yosef. Right, 7 good years and 7 bad years, and he keeps going on. He's going to go through the whole thing. Obviously, it's not something, it's heavy. It's not for the moment because we've been talking for the last 2 hours, so we can't get into it. But I want you to go to the very, very end now of his speech.
I'm into that.
Okay, I know you're into that. I just want you to see how he ends his speech, and obviously you're not going to see the connection without reading the whole speech, but it's very important to try to get into it.
We'll try.
You're not going to try, I know you. Vezer Amasti, you see the last paragraph? Vezer Amasti? Vezer Amasti. Imet hadavar hazeh ta'aseh. Hey, this is what I alluded to, he's telling you. דהיינו, שתרצה לחזור בתשובה, you want to do the תשובה, ועל ידי זה תרצה בסביבך אלוהים לשון סבתה, שתהיה השראת שכינה. Okay, you have that Shekhinah, that feeling of the Shekhinah coming down and working together with you. When you want to do God's will and you really make the effort, you automatically begin to feel that Hashem is helping you move in the direction. And when people want to work together and they want to do the right thing, all of a sudden you see things falling into place miraculously, things that don't make sense, things that wouldn't normally happen. Okay? צריך תנאי אחד והוא העיקר, and we need one thing, שיהיו כולם כאחד באחווה, ספרדי עם ספרדי, ספרדי עם אשכנזי, אשכנזי עם אשכנזי עם ערבי. Okay? So the Sephardim have to be united, and the Ashkenazim have to be united, and the Sephardim and the Ashkenazim have to be united. I need the Arabi, I need the Moroccans too. Okay? كلهم كأحد. Everybody has to be together as one. يبو دك لومار يبو لشون يحيي. If you look at the pasuk, it starts off in Rabbi. Now obviously we're not looking at the pasuk because we have to go all the way back to the very beginning of the speech. No, the very beginning of the speech was said והקים מעליך ונשאו איתך אם הדבר הזה תעשה בסביבך אלוהים ויחד תעמו וגם כל העם הזה וגם כל העם, all the people על מקומו יבוא בשלום. You should say יבואו, not יבוא בשלום, it should be יבואו, them, all the people, but saying יבוא. The יבוא is coming back to tell us we all have to be united. Yeah, I know you hate these type of things. It's okay.
That's all right.
This is I like this.
This is the style of our Hachamim. Yabo, dekdek lomar yabo lashon yahid. The pasuk was very precise in using lashon yahid and speaking in the singular. Sarich tenai ehad dehainu b'shalva. ואז נזכה לביאת גואלנו במהרה בימינו, וכמה אמר התנא לא מסע הקדוש ברוך הוא כלים מחזיק ברכה לישראל אלא השלום שנאמר על אדוני עוז ייתן אדוני ברכת עמו בשלום. He ties in the beginning of the speech to the end of the speech, everything in between work together to build up to this, and it always ends on a positive note. That's also a style of the Sephardi Hakam. But in other words, part of what he goes into his speech, he shows you that Par'o doesn't know what to do. He has these dreams. He calls in what's happening over here. He calls in all his advisors. Then they bring him Yosef, and Yosef tells him this, that, whatever. Okay, so now we're talking about the Ra'ab, and we're talking about the Sabah, and we said what did Yohanan say? Parnas Tob. We need a good leader. So that good leader is Yosef over here as well. Yosef is trying to keep himself out of it. But Borei Olam already put the idea into Par'o's mind. Yosef is that guy. And he's telling you over here, then he tries to bring everything together. And he brings us all different things having to do with how the rabbinate is established and how you have different hachamim working with each other. And then you have the guys behind the scenes that are working against things because they think they know better. They think that, like I said earlier tonight, they're sitting around the dining room tables. We know what's really going on. We know how to work the system. And it's not like that. You have to have peace. You have to have unity. Something like this with Chief Rabbi passing away and that possible appointment of a new Chief Rabbi, we have to work on keeping peace and not on creating more mahlukot. And it's very, very important. And he's telling you, all the shalom is going to come with the shalva when the people are united. Now, obviously, there's a lot of, dibri musar over here, and that's part of the hacham, to do that, to bring the people together. Just interesting to note, the last teshuvah in the book that's attached with the each of the Shelot Teshuvot, all has to do with Hilchot Haskat Minui V'Serara, the laws of the inheritance of powers, positions of power. So he deals with it in the same time period. Something going on over here. This is obviously a much longer thing. I didn't make you copies of, but we have a lot to do over there. Now, this is a topic that's not going to end. And it's a topic that most people, I think, are unaware of. It's a topic that people don't know the sources, and I have Obviously, a lot more sources here, as well as historical sources. But what we heard done and what threw people back fits in to the framework of halacha. It fits in with everything that we heard. Okay? So it's not something that we just take and toss out. But obviously, the people have to be accepting of it. If they're not, then it's never going to work.